Be ready. 5 seconds. Start. Sir, I am grateful to the honorable member who have made their contribution while discussing the performance of the Ministry of Commerce. Sir, this House has its own limitations, particularly in regard to the discussion of a subject with reference to the demands for grants. But we have been able to have a discussion on this particular ministry after quite a few years. And the advantage is that when the demand was discussed in the other house, after that, the import export policy for the year 1998-99 was announced. The honorable members had the opportunity also to keep that policy at the back of their minds while making their observations on the functioning of the ministry. Sir, it is known to the honorable members, so far as our international trade is concerned, the year which we just passed was really a difficult year. Naturally, the members have expressed their concern over the widening trade gap, the growth in imports being in the neighborhood of more than 20% and growth in exports much less than that. In absolute terms, it is not yet possible to indicate the firm figures, but the trade gap worked out to be anywhere between rupees 4500 crores and rupees 4800 crores. The reason is also known to the honorable members. So far as petrol and petroleum products are concerned, the full impact of the price hike was felt this year. Nearly two-thirds of total export earnings are being spent on importing petroleum and petroleum products alone. There too, the scope of maneuverability is extremely limited. As the honorable members are aware, the total import of petrol and petroleum products is almost inelastic for the last few years. In absolute terms, we are keeping the quantum almost at the same level, though we are paying much more, and that too, according to my assessment, is also irreducible minimum because we want to maintain our agricultural program. We have to energize our pump sets, and diesel is a must. It is necessary to maintain the national transport service and at the same time to provide kerosene oil to the large number of villages. Import of fertilizers is absolutely a must if we want to maintain our agricultural program. Therefore, the scope of extremely limited to reduce the import of petrol and petroleum products during the current financial year. And in that context, the strategy which has been worked out is to have a vigorous export effort, reduce our dependence on imports for the areas where we can, and thirdly, give encouragement to import substitution. So far as exports are concerned, it is known to the honorable members even up to 1995-96 we were having a reasonable growth rate in the neighborhood of 24 to 25%, particularly for the last 3 years, but we could not maintain that growth rate in the next 3 years. Again, it has started picking up. In this connection, sir, I would like to mention one particular point which has been very often quoted to show that India's performance on the export front is quite insignificant, and very often an argument is put forward that our share in the foreign trade is almost negligible. I do not deny it. From the early 50s, when our share in the international trade was roughly 2%, it has come down to almost half a percent today. But it is because of certain factors, and one of the important factor is that deliberately we took a policy of import substitution. Secondly, the share of a particular country in the international trade and world trade is not so much relevant. What is more relevant is the percentage of exports, and if we look it from that angle, we will find, and if I understand the figure correctly, and I hope I have the figure with me, therefore, there has been a qualitative change. We are not happy. We want much more growth. The level of growth is not satisfactory, and it is not up to the necessity which we require. But at the same time, we shall have which we require. But at the same time, we shall have to acknowledge the fact that there has been growth. And in this connection, very often it is pointed out that whatever growth is there, it is mainly because of the inflation in value it has increased, and in quantity it has not increased. I would like to quote some figures to point out that there has been an upward trend in value, and there has been an upward trend in volume also. Secondly, sir, as the honorable members have pointed out, and I do share their concern, the growing protectionism in the international trade is standing in the way of expansion of exports from the developing countries, and almost at all international forums we have taken it up, and here we have been able to identify the areas and tried to impress upon the developed countries without getting any result.